I'm Chanel Scott, the queen of relationship talk.
I'm Josh Powell, two-time NBA champion.
I've journeyed from trauma to healing.
From the NBA to family, I've learned what really matters.
We've come together to unlock the secrets of successful relationships.
One conversation at a time.
One conversation at a time. Welcome to Relationships Matter, the podcast. I am Chanel Scott.
And I am Josh Powell.
So today, Josh and I are going to have a very candid conversation about dating. We know you guys have made comments on our post and had different perspectives as it relates to just dating, period. Not dating in Atlanta, but just dating. So we're going to give you the male and female version of this whole idea of dating.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
So I would like to start, first of all, in my opinion, I think that men do not have the same experiences as us women.
Why?
I believe you guys have more choice, more variety. It's gotten so bad out here nowadays, women are even willing to share. Whereas you guys get the pick, you get your pick. And I don't think that's fair.
You don't think that's in you?
What's in me?
To share?
Hell no. I'm never sharing. I'll die alone before I share. Knowingly. I'll die alone before I share.
In so many other cultures and so many other places, women share.
Josh.
The village.
This is not polygamy. Like you say, I subscribe to the monogamous channel.
Okay.
You say you don't believe in monogamy.
I don't, but I know it exists.
And why don't you believe in monogamy?
Just based on my experiences, again, just seeing what I've seen, hearing what I've heard. When I look at family, when I look at, friends, because this is something that I'm going back to childhood experiences, right? And I'm basing mine off of conversations I'm having with my partners back then, right? Things that they see and hear. Even things that I was taught that were deemed okay, growing up. And it's like, everybody's doing it.
What changed your mind?
I won't necessarily say something changed my mind, but again, I didn't see something, but that doesn't mean that I didn't think that it existed or that it wasn't possible. I just, in the majority of the situations that I knew about, there had no examples of that. So I just thought, okay, this is how we move. This is what it is. Like, men are doing what they doing. Women are doing what they doing. They still together. Everybody happy. It's cool.
So why don't you do it?
Well, there's this thing called the Bible. And based off of the wording in the Bible, the instruction, there's details in which how we are supposed to behave as the Creator's children. And because of that, I try to make every effort according to those words.
So how do you combat that struggle or issue? Or, because it sounds like you're going against everything that you believe, quote, end quote.
Quote unquote, for me, how I've been able to make it easier upon myself is just by knowing what I need to do and making every effort to follow that.
What do you need to do, Josh?
In order, like, staying focused, trying to involve myself in other things, pick up the word more, pray more. Work is obviously one thing. Dealing with family, doing all that stuff. So not having as much downtime in regards
so you're trying to stay busy.
Yeah. I mean, not trying to intentionally do it, but it's just things are happening. Life is happening. You know what I mean? And it's been a blessing to be able to have the job or jobs that I have, you know, to be in this space, like with what we're doing now, this work that we're doing here, you know, just, you know, came out with a book, you know, like almost 2 weeks ago. So my energy and time is just in trying to be better according to the word.
What drives your desire to want to be with multiple women?
What drives it, I'm sure, is probably stuff, not probably, it's definitely started from way back when. And I'm just accustomed to that. You know what I mean? It's a learned behavior for me. So, and I'm not exempt from it. You know, you've talked about some of the things that you've been able to experience in your childhood. And
Like what?
with your dad.
What about with my dad?
With the situation that happened with him.
When he had a child outside of his marriage? Okay. I just want to be clear on that.
Right.
Okay.
So, again, whether it was one time or a million times, it don't matter, right?
He did it multiple times, sure.
But again, for you, that is something that it either made you move left or made you move right. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about dating today, you know, we have to understand why and what that looks like and why people have the perspectives that they have. And I know for me, again, it was shaped because of childhood and then experiences that happened when I was a preteen, teenager, and a young adult. And then I got into a place and space where, you know, I got a family, I got responsibilities, you know, and I'm trying my best to maneuver in such a way that's healthier for that lifestyle, you know. And I failed, and I failed again, and I bumped my head, and I failed again. But all in all, like, the more I started to focus on myself and my healing, I started to see different changes in a lot of things. And that part's not easy. What made you not go towards looking at relationships in that type of manner versus how you are, as like being monogamous and stuff like that? Because you've seen both sides.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you're right. My dad, he was an amazing father. I just want to be clear on that, but not a great husband. But I think that watching the indiscretions of my dad, watching some of the mistakes that maybe my mom made, it just made me want to be different.
Okay.
And I just don't have a desire to share. Like, when I think about the idea of sharing, or even the idea of me having multiple men, I can't stomach it. Because
so is the sharing, and let me ask you this for most people, right? So when you talk about sharing, is that coming from a place of that's really me, or is that coming from a place of control, or is that coming from both?
I want my own. Like, I don't want to have to I can't imagine being in a relationship with a man who's in a relationship with someone else, and he tells me I'm gonna go spend time with so and so today, and I'll be like, okay, who's doing that? Like, I may be, no, absolutely not. I have no desire
You just thought about it.
Practice polygamy. I'm talking about it with you because I know that this is a hot topic for you.
But some people, right, can be with each other and indulge in outside behavior.
Hell no.
And still be with each other.
The idea of my person being with another woman, I just could never do it. It does something on the inside of me. It's just, I'm not cut from that cloth.
And I respect that. But I do.
And the idea of somebody getting something that I'm not getting, or getting something that I'm supposed to be getting.
What would you think you would be supposed to be getting?
His time, his energy, his effort.
So let me ask you this. Would you be upset or feel a way if your partner or the guy that you were dating, if he never did anything but his thoughts were elsewhere?
If his thoughts were elsewhere, like he wanted to be with another woman?
Yeah.
But he never acted on it?
If he wanted to be with another woman, maybe he's talking to another woman, but he's not going to the lengths of actually physically being in the presence of.
He don't need to talk to, like, first of all, Let me be clear. I don't mind my person having female friends. I have
Okay.
no issues with that. But I have an issue if they're engaging in inappropriate conversations.
What's
Absolutely.
inappropriate?
Like you shouldn't be having sexual conversations with another woman.
What if it ain't sexual?
What y'all talk about?
It has to be other things that are inappropriate.
Like what?
Because you don't have to talk about sex to be connected to a person.
What's inappropriate outside of sex?
I'm asking you.
No, I mean like if you got friends and y'all just shoot
I
the
know
shit.
what it looks like to connect with somebody and not even speak about sex.
What it look like?
And that could be deemed inappropriate because you're building something with somebody else.
Building what? And what's the
An
foundation
emotional
of it?
attachment.
But what is the purpose of the attachment? Is it because of friendship
It might be emotional. But see, that's the thing. Like when a lot of women do it, it's okay because they'll say, well, I'm not physically doing anything. But they might be entertaining somebody.
I don't believe in being unhappy and I don't believe in settling and being in something that I don't have a desire to be in. So if I have made a commitment to a particular person, I don't have a desire to connect to someone emotionally outside of that relationship. I can tell you for myself, if I am emotionally connected to another man outside of my person, then I already got one foot out the door. Period.
Then let's touch on that when we get back. Relationships Matter, the podcast.
Relationships matter.
Welcome to Relationships Matter, the podcast. Now, today, Josh and I are having candid conversations about dating, right? And we are giving our
They on my head, y'all. They on my
perspective. And I just do not agree with my person having outside conversations in regards to sex or anything that's inappropriate. I have no problem with you developing friendship with another person, but talking about sex, talking about what y'all gonna do to each other, having that little, what you call it, that risky banter. No.
But everything that you said was in regards to physical.
But what other connection you talking about?
So I think it's important to address because I swear women act like they have no idea what you're talking about. So typically when you ask a woman like, yo, you ever cheated or, been dishonest with your partner? And most, not put a number on it, but it's definitely a high percentage. Like they'll be like, nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never cheated. Like, I've been solid, A1, like good.
I
But
will admit, like, the 2 times that I cheated was the 2 times that I was in a relationship with someone who I should have never been in a relationship with. Going into it from day one,
that's how you gonna justify it?
I knew it was a settle though. I knew it wasn't someone that I was attracted to in that way. These 2 people, these were 2 different scenarios, but we had a friendship. We hung out. We spent time. They were very nice to me, and at that time, I felt like maybe this is what I need, is not what I want, at least not from the person that I want it from, but that maybe this is what I need. So I said, well, let me give it a try, knowing that my heart was not in it. And the moment I met the person that I really like, I was out the door.
I got a question. If I said that, what would be your advice to me?
I would call it usury, for sure.
Do I sound like I'm taking accountability?
What part do you want me to? I'm being honest and transparent about what my mindset was at the time.
Exactly. So that's
I'm
what
not
I'm
saying
saying.
what I did was right. I'm just saying that these are the 2 times. And that's why I don't do casual dating to this day.
But you didn't acknowledge it was wrong.
It was definitely wrong.
Oh, now you did. But I'm saying initially.
It was wrong. That is why I don't do the casual dating today, because I saw how it made them feel. I saw how it impacted them in a negative way. And I never want to put someone in that space. I never want to make someone feel the way I made those 2 men feel.
Is casual dating wrong?
It's only wrong if both people are not in agreement. If both people are in agreement that it's casual dating, we have an understanding of what it is, we've talked about it, and I'm cool, then you do what you want to do.
Shouldn't agreement come when one person or the other or both have developed something deeper than where it started?
No, because I feel like I date with intention, so I don't do the casual thing. So if I meet someone that has piqued my interest and I'm intrigued and I want to get to know them, it may be casual at first, but I'm very clear about what my intent is, for sure. And so from that moment going forward, I'm making every effort to be intentional about that interaction.
So if you meet 2 or 3 different dudes at the same time, how do you pick and when do you cut off?
It don't take long at all.
So that's casual dating.
This has never happened to me. Let me just preface this by saying I have never met 2 or 3 guys at the same time and was dating and cut off. I just don't meet men that I like. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't meet men that I like. It's very, when I was out there, I might meet someone like once a year.
But if you said you was cheating.
Don't be trying to make it nasty how you trying to say.
I'm not making it nasty. I'm asking good questions because that means it has to be somewhat casual.
That was like 20 years ago.
But you see, you doing it again.
No, I'm saying.
You went into a situation
I'm
knowing.
saying what I did was wrong. Actually, I didn't go into that. I didn't go into that situation casually. Like when I engaged them and I made a decision to have whatever we had, I tried to be intentional, but it just wasn't a vibe for me.
So how did the other guy come in?
What you mean? Oh, I may have gone out with some girlfriends. Let me think back to what actually happened. I went out with some girlfriends and she was dating a guy and he had some type of camp and this guy was at the camp and he was introduced to me and we kicked it off. And we started talking on the phone. I was attracted to him. He had great conversation. I was interested in getting to know him. So that's what I did.
Meanwhile, what was going on with the other?
Nothing, because at that point, when I met the guy that I actually liked, I operated in avoidance. Like I didn't want to be bothered with the other guy. But
so you didn't talk to him at all, no nothing?
I talked to him. I didn't know how to communicate with him and tell him that I was seeing or liking someone else. So I just tried to maintain the friendship without a whole lot of intimacy. And then,
So that's not casual.
Over time, which one?
I mean, because you started with one, ended up with another.
Josh,
and then the other one sounded like there was some intimacy going on. It got hot.
Yeah, I liked him.
Mm-hmm. So the other one didn't get no buns.
Not after I met that new guy.
So he was getting the buns and then stopped.
Yeah. But
no judgment. I respect you, gangster.
Let me turn the spotlight on you. Don't be trying to judge me over here.
Never. I just, like I said, whenever having these conversations is just always interesting because you can hear a person, how they speak about the situation, what went into the situation to make it okay for this thing to happen, even though at the tail end of it, it was like, well, I knew I was wrong. But it was kind of like a Band-Aid on it when we talk about it. Well, I was
trying something because I got impatient and I was tired of waiting and I wanted to be in a relationship. Okay. But I'd like to ask you a question. Why, so I know you. And, you talk about you subscribe to the monogamous channel, but you don't necessarily believe it because of your upbringing and your experiences and all those different things. Yes. But you still saw fit to be in committed relationships, whether it was marriage or just a relationship where you made a commitment to someone else.
I saw fit because, again, the other part to how I grew up was like, you'll have your queen, you know what I mean? And even in this situation, as long as the house is taken care of, then if you stepped out or did what you did, it's cool as long as it don't bring any drama or any unnecessary energy back to your household.
But did that ever work out for you? Now, this Chanel you talking to.
Well, it ain't just you. Folks gonna see this, and it don't make me know. I'm not gonna say that it didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, I kept it the way that I kept it. But if I'm asked something, I was honest about it. And I know in other situations, you know what I'm saying, like people want to snoop and
Of
try to
course.
take phones and do all that type of stuff. And
Yes.
so that wasn't like my issue. You feel me? Like I remember one time, for example, right? This was back in '09, I think, maybe. And who I was with at the time, like I literally got a message or something, and I go and we're driving. I go to flip my phone to check the message, and we're in North Carolina. Got a house in North Carolina. And what's the mall that's in Raleigh? Is it Crabtree?
Crabtree.
This took my phone and jumped out the car and took off. And I'm like, bro, what we doing? Like, I done kept it a bean with you, you feel me? But like, I'm the type of person, like, if you want to know something, just ask.
But see, my question is this. With everything that you've said, you got to have your queen. Did you have the conversation with your queen and say, hey?
I didn't know how to have that conversation. And to be honest with you, because that conversation is so deep to have, right? Even the way that I feel about the topic, I can explain it, I can express it, I can articulate it in a way that, okay, I understand, even though I may not agree or whatever the case may be, but I can definitely express how I feel on that. That person wouldn't have handled me with the care that I needed in order for me to open up and feel like I could be safe. Because here's the other part, right? My belief system is not the end all be all either. I want to make sure I'm clear on that, right? I feel the way that I feel, but it's not like because this thing is not happening, I'm going to behave in this manner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just bucking like that. Half of the battle, like, if I could have had that space and been able to talk and communicate and express things effectively, a lot of that probably would have just went away by just being able to talk through how I felt.
So you saying she would have accepted the fact that you were seeing other women?
Not even accept it. I'm just saying if I could have communicated a desire. You see what I'm saying? Like just a small thing on, man, I'm having an urge or I want another woman or whatever that is that's on my spirit.
Why is it so important for you to be able to communicate it if you have no plans on engaging it?
I'll tell you when we get back. Relationships Matter, the podcast.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter, the podcast. So, Josh, what are the benefits of practicing polygamy? Why is this such a hot topic for you?
It's not a hot topic for me. But the hot topic for me is that people should be who they are. And not only people being who they are, people should be able to express who they are without judgment. Where it gets tricky for me is, right, and why this is such a thing is, for one, I'm very open about my belief system, right? I'm very open about, my journey, my walk these past couple of years. I'm very open, in regards to how I'm growing and trying to be better. So it's like people will sit up there and say, well, how could you say that and then you feel this way? But it's okay for me to feel this way because I have a history of things as to why I feel this way. I have experiences. I have things that I've seen. But again, as I mentioned to you before, it's not the end all be all. I like what I like.
But you know what? And I want you to elaborate on what you like, because I hear you say that I like what I like. So it doesn't necessarily sound like it's a polygamy thing. I just think you like multiple women. It's not a polygamous situation where the economics, it's the idea of you like what you like.
I do like what I like, right?
And what do you like, Joshua?
But at the end of the day, what I was speaking to you about and Miss Collada about during the break is basically we have to get to a point in a space where we create safety for our significant other, point blank, period. And in doing so, right, Everybody should be able to speak freely, speak authentically, be transparent about what you want, how you want it, whatever the case may be. The other person who's receiving that information, for one, you have a responsibility. And a responsibility is to not make that person feel any type of way for what it is that they're expressing, for one. For two, the person receiving the information has the way that they feel about the relationship or where they think it should go, right? So that person should be made to feel safe about what it is that they want to communicate. It doesn't take away from either party, no matter what your interest is, no matter what your belief system is. There's not a knock on the other person. So I have to say that too. Because not only in regards to past relationships, in regards to current relationship, like out of respect, because I know this is it's like a heavy thing, and for a person to hear that, right? So like, my ex was to bump into this and hear this, and it's like, oh, see, I told y'all I was right and this, that, and the third, but it was so many things that happened within our dynamic and how I was mismanaged, right? And I made decisions based on that. I didn't say bad decisions. I didn't say that. I just made decisions based on that. Mm-hmm. And I just want to encourage people to create those spaces because, for one, right, another thing is somebody might be feeling a way about something, but when you're able to talk it out, it might ease that feeling. You might be able to overcome that feeling or whatever that looks like if you're able to talk through that.
I have a question though. Why is it important for you to tell your partner, significant other, that you have a desire to see other women and not actually act on that or that even be a part of what your intent is? Because it only brings about a level of hurt. Why is that so important to be able to express that?
Because it's important to be honest with your person. Period.
But
Why wouldn't I be honest? And it's not something that's like this is something that's like overtaking me. This is like an addiction or something like that. It's not. I'm not on that type of time.
It breeds insecurity for one.
For
the other person. If you're telling someone, I want to see other women, like I ain't gonna do it, but I have a desire to. Even if they never speak on it, it's in the back of their head. Is he doing it? Does he have the capacity to do it? Will he do it?
I have the capacity to do it, just like she has the capacity to do it. Anybody that's in a relationship has the capacity to do it.
Not everybody has the capacity to do it.
That is a flat out lie, Chanel. Let me tell you why. Because we live in a day and age, and social media just broadcasts everything. But way back when, your mama, my mama, your daddy, my daddy, and our grandparents, the stuff that people were doing, nobody found out about it because nobody knew other than the next door neighbor or whoever. And then they would be like, that's not my business.
That's them. But they stayed with partners even when they were unhappy too. And I'm saying for me,
that's a problem in itself.
Yeah, so right, it is. I'm not saying it's right, but what I'm saying, I said for me, I don't have the capacity to do it because I would like to think I've waited this long to connect with the right partner. I'm not going to just connect with someone that I'm unhappy with.
I feel you, but the argument that I'm making to your point is this doesn't mean that there aren't people who are faithful. So let me say that, right? There are people that are faithful. I believe that there are more people who are unfaithful than those who are faithful.
And then you invite somebody into your relationship because, like you say, people don't know the game. And now you've caused more hurt and pain to that other person.
That's where honesty comes in at, because then the other person is allowed that choice.
That's wrong, though.
It's not wrong.
It is wrong. Like it's like, why
wrong.
get into a relationship if you know you have these desires and these urges?
Because if I feel like, I'm trying to grow and get better, do I stop that because of this thing? No.
Yeah, but now you brought somebody into it, though. Somebody else's life.
Chanel, so let's take away sex. And if I deal with a woman who's been molested or dealt with some type of trauma or whatever, and she doesn't want men touching her, or she doesn't want this, but yet she urges or may have a desire for a relationship. But then it's not fair to me that I done got this good woman who feels how she feels in regards to a man's touch or might be triggered by a certain way that I penetrate her or whatever the
I
case
say
may
she
be.
shouldn't be in a relationship. If she's still struggling with
it's
not wanting to be touched by a man
But it's not
because
that
of trauma,
easy.
she don't need to be in a
It's not
relationship.
that easy because that's the thing that people
That's
are dealing with
selfish.
today. I don't necessarily view it as selfish. I feel like people are just trying. They might go through a
So now I'm gonna
period.
bring my shit into your life. That's not fair to you.
Everybody does it every day.
Yeah, no, but that right there, that's intricate to any healthy relationship that you're able to touch her and not be worried about, oh my
Chanel,
God, am I gonna
you
penetrate her
you
wrong?
can't pick and choose in regards to the argument. I can give you 10 other examples of what's going on, but what I'm sharing with you is men and women do this every day. Just because it may not be a sexual thing, it could be an alcohol thing. It could be a finance thing. It could be an emotional thing. It could be a mental thing. It's all kind of things that people are dealing with as they're trying to manage, as we're trying to figure out in this space out of fairness. And people are doing it because they wake up one day and they say, you know what, I'm okay today. I want to try today. Do we discourage a person because they've been struggling for a year or 2 years and then they wake up one day and they say, hey, I want to make an effort to date. I want to find a man or a woman that's for me. Boom, what's going on? Is that fair to discourage that person because they have this pain or that trauma or this thing that they're dealing
If
with?
they haven't done the work to deal with it, you do not bring those types of issues in other people's lives. They didn't ask for it.
Then nobody should be dating.
Like you talking about, first of all, I cannot imagine me getting into a relationship with a man who comes to me and says, I desire to be with other women. And I'm supposed to say, okay, well, let's be in a relationship.
But then you'll expect for that man to take you as you are.
I don't desire to be in a relationship with nobody
it may
else.
not. But what if the way that you speak to that man it bothers him or triggers him? What if the way you treat that man bothers? You see what I'm saying?
If he comes to me and says, Chanel, I don't like the way you spoke to me, or I don't like something, if I truly care and respect this man, I am going to make the adjustments in my behavior.
If only it was that easy.
It is. If you value, see, there's a difference in wanting someone there's a difference in desiring someone and valuing them. When you value someone, you're not going to do anything to jeopardize that connection. Because it's going to not only damage them, it's going to damage you.
That's not true.
It is very true.
People doing it
like
every
if you
day.
value, like I'm not going to take something that I value. If I value this, I'm not going to be reckless and careless and risk dropping it and breaking it on the floor.
You might not be reckless and careless, but guess what? Accidents do happen.
So you mean your penis slipping up in somebody else's vagina is an accident? That's not an accident.
We'll find out. Relationships Matter, the podcast, when we get back.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter, the podcast. So, guys, while we're on break, we are having this heated discussion about dating and relationships, dating multiple people, being in a relationship and desiring to date other people. And so my take is this, because Josh, you said that a lot of times one person isn't treating the other person the way that they deserve to be treated. And what I say to that is that I have been so deprived in this particular area that when God does bless me with my person, I am going to appreciate. I can't imagine not treating him the way that he deserves to be treated just because I've been so deprived in that space.
I think, Chanel, and with your situation, be gracious and kind to yourself. Because on one end, I hear you loud and clear, right? I know that is something that, you desire, something that you definitely want. And, if that comes across and you find a mate that you are attracted to and this guy, communicates well and he's open and he's this and he's that. But we're also human and things can happen. And a lot of things, not necessarily based on the guy, but it might be some things that you might have to deal with, right? Because that's something that I learned. I'm only talking to you about it because when I was making decisions in my relationships and I had to come look in the mirror, I was like, all right, let me start back. Let me try to figure out why, or let me understand my childhood, or let me, try to figure out my family, history or something like that as it relates to decisions that I'm making today, right? Or whenever that time period was. And I know we can all say, man, I found this person, I'm going to do it differently, I promise you, right? After the relationship I had with my oldest daughter's mom, we went our separate ways, and I bumped into, the next person who I then married. I know how it was in the way that things seem to have started out, right? And then you pay attention because maybe that person starts showing you some things, or maybe some other people start whispering, or whatever the case may be, because things happen. And then you find yourself in this situation where it's like, man, I really love this person. I'm trying to navigate in this space. And then other things happen on top of that, like whether it's something traumatic or drastic, or, at one point in time, you know what I'm saying? Like when she got pregnant, right? So then it's like with women, whenever the woman's pregnant, it's like off limits to do everything because you don't want to upset her. So you're not having no real conversations. You can't touch on things that you wish you could be able to touch on. And then we're moving and doing things in a way where we're trying to figure out us and the dynamic and the relationship. And then we're also trying to move past other things. If it was as easy as you mentioned it, a lot of people would still be in a relationship, and we wouldn't have, kids that are being raised by women solo or being raised by men solo and all of these other things because breakups are happening.
But preparation, like if you're intentional about wanting to be in a relationship, then this is my preparatory time. Like I am preparing. I am not just going in like just living aimlessly without intentionality. Like I'm looking forward to what I'm believing God to do, and I'm preparing. I'm doing the work.
And I salute you for that. But the other part of really doing the work, right? When you find yourself in a place, are you going to be fearful, or are you going to trust the work? And that's where it gets tricky. Mm-hmm. Because you've waited so long to give your heart, fear might step in and knock on your door way louder than faith and trusting in God in the process. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. It gets tricky. But imagine you had a partner that you can come to and say, look, big dog, can we talk? Because that safety is what saves a relationship. It's what helps build a relationship. Earlier, we were talking about a heated topic, right? The monogamy versus polygamy and all this and all that. At the end of the day, a person's choice is a person's choice, but being able to express yourself freely, right? Giving the other person the decision on what they want to do and how they want to do it. Because in some situations, people might say, well, look, you might feel that way today, and it might not be a feeling that you feel tomorrow, right? And I think that that's fair too. People are changing and evolving. What if I would have said at one point in time I was believing in open relationship or believing in polygamy, but now it's like I'm super duper monogamous. Now everybody's like, oh, that's cool. But then it's like when I say, no, my belief system hasn't changed. My actions have just changed. The way that I handle and the way that I move has just changed. Now it's like, oh, that can't be. Like, what's going on with that?
Because it's in your head, and that's where anything that manifests, it starts in your head. So if you're thinking about it, it's only a matter of time before you act on it.
You know how many men out here think about other women?
No. I know they think about other women, but I'm talking about you thinking about it, you talking to other women. You may not be intimate with them.
But to your point, you said a thought, right? Which is powerful. A thought is powerful. So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of men that might have a vision or a moment or a desire and not act on it. There's a lot of women. I've even heard that too. Like, right, where women say,
if you sharing it with your partner, though, if you thought about it enough to say, I want to talk to you about it. I'm having thoughts about being with another woman. What is that woman supposed to do with that?
Or what if y'all are going through, because it sounds jacked up when you put it that way. But let's go through life. let's say some things happen, Chanel. Let's say you have some family issues. Let's say something might happen at work, you're upset. Let's say there's some things that causes you to be distant from your partner.
Well, we should be communicating about that.
You should be, but
Not about other women, but about the distance.
but you didn't let me finish.
Okay.
Because I'm setting up the scenario.
Okay.
Because it's super easy for you to step in and be like, oh, you got to communicate, you got to do this. But let's just say that what you're dealing with has caused you to be distant. And your partner's trying to talk to you. And you're telling him, no, I'm good. Just got some things going, I'm good. But you ain't connecting, you ain't bonding, y'all ain't being intimate. And then a week or two goes by.
That's different. I mean, we're going through something like that and it's noticeable distance or a disconnect. And he comes to me and say, I've been thinking about X, Y, and Z. I think that's different. But I'm talking about you just having these thoughts just because I have these thoughts.
I get
For
you,
no
but
other reason
I'm
than to
sharing
have
I'm
them.
sharing with you, instead of us looking at, oh well, this detail, but it's the fact that the thought is still there. So we don't never look at that. We don't never look at the root, and it's like that is something that might be in a person. And some people are better than others at suppressing or figuring out what's for them or not for them. Again, we all come from what we come from. I'm not here to tell nobody anything. What I will say is this: let's remove sex and say it's drinking or smoking or going out or something else that could be something that's deemed toxic or deemed not good for me or my spirit at that time. And what if me just having a conversation helps me not to go out and do something that I know I shouldn't be doing? Or be around people because I know what type of time they're on, and then I just join in because I'm feeling this type of way. I'm just trying to get people to understand the power of communication and what that can solve. If we've seen officers or other people talk people from suicide, right? So let's take the other S word. And if a person is having suicidal thoughts, a person might have seen these things in their past. That's something that's bubbling and it's in them, right? Imagine how different that could be if they had somebody that they could talk to just to get them to step away from that.
But if that's on the inside of them, then they've gone through some type of trauma. Something has happened for that to just be bubbling up. Like you don't just think about suicide unless there's something triggered or a trauma or something else going on.
In most
On
cases,
the
yes, but
inside of you.
in some cases, I mean, I've heard some things where sometimes life is just way too heavy for some people, and they just don't want to be here no more.
Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to share because the conversation is very important. We just so happen to be talking about sex or stepping outside of your relationship. I'm just trying to get people to wrap their minds around the fact of, if we start talking about the importance of communication, if we start talking about the importance of a safe space, and we start being around people, right, who can help us navigate in those spaces, how much different things would be. I've already tried to, and I can't right my wrongs. I've been apologetic enough. I'm holding myself accountable. Like, I understand what happens when I get on this microphone or when I write something or whatever the case may be. Because I know, for one, my kids are watching. I know they're listening. I know their friends or whomever probably is paying attention. I know that there's family. I know that the mothers who birthed them are paying attention. I know it's not easy. My mother, what's my mother thinking about this, right? But I'm strong enough within me to stand up on that because, again, I know this is something that's a challenge for me. It's not ruling me in the way that it once was.
That's good.
That's the thing that I'm also trying to get out there too, because there is growth. And according to how you may have felt, or, even Kalada when we was talking about it, or anybody else when we've had a break or whatever, it's like we'll write people off when you never know what a conversation will get.
If my heart is at stake, like I just can't. I mean, if that's my friend and you having an issue or struggle or what have you, I can talk to you all day long. But when it's at the expense of my heart, I just don't know.
I feel you. Well, talk to me all along when we get back from this brief break. Relationships Matter, the podcast.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter, the podcast. So today, Josh and I have been talking about, we've been having the battle of the sexes. We've been talking about
In regards to dating.
Of course, in regards to dating. He's been talking about some of his preferences. I've been talking about some of my preferences. So, Josh, talk about the journey of transitioning from one that operated in a space where there could have been multiple women to now being monogamous, even though it's not a part of your belief system, you say. Talk about that journey.
I mean, it's an everyday it's an everyday challenge. It's an everyday challenge. I believe, and that's why I speak to it, because I know the conversations that I've had, and again, I'm not saying all, and I know we're just talking about this one topic, but that's why I just continue to keep the focus on being able to express yourself and being comfortable in sharing with somebody something that you may be either struggling with, challenged with, whatever the case may be. Because it's important. And I know for me, being able to have conversations has absolutely helped me. Being able to have conversations and also see that it is possible has absolutely helped me. Being able to have conversations, see that it's possible, and have the scripture, and this is in no way, shape, or form in any type of order, has made things possible. Like, there's many steps, but I know that whenever I could be in an environment or a situation and I notice my behaviors, I notice how I think or move in those spaces, and that's changed, that's how I know that there's been growth.
Right.
But even though I'm changing, I still believe what I believe.
Do you believe that one woman possessed every quality? Like, because I think
I don't think no man or woman can.
Okay.
And that's a great question. That's a great question, right?
Like, you think that if you met someone who could fulfill most, if not all, of your needs, I mean, I personally believe that, I don't know if all, but most. Like, I don't think I could be with someone if they didn't fulfill most.
Yeah,
I don't want to go looking for it outside of my relationship.
Yeah, and I think that that's fair, but I think that that's more of a realistic conversation that people should have, because we live in this day and age, and it's like everybody's like, oh, this is my all. This person covers everything, and it's like that's almost impossible, for a person to cover everything, based on, we grew up different, based on our family, our family structure, based on, our belief system, based on so many different things that are a part of our makeup. But to your point, I absolutely agree. Like, if we get a person that's a majority, is it a Tyler Perry movie or one of those dudes talking about the 80-20 rule or something like that? I can't remember, but I thought that was something that was really dope. Like, way back when I first watched that movie, I'm like, yo, that makes sense. Like, because you understand that not one person is going to be able to do all or be all. That's why we also have to do the personal work too, because we're looking for people to be this person or to be somebody that completes us and all of these different things. And it's like, man, like, when you're talking about a partner and where we're supposed to go and how we're supposed to do it together, there's a lot that goes into that.
How do you choose a mate?
I choose a mate based on communication, how they are perceived amongst their inner circles, based on their family history, just kind of paying attention to certain things. I look at their views on life. I try to get an understanding of what their principles or morals or values are. I think it's also important to see how they respond to adversity or when things don't go their way. That has a lot to do with it. How a person carries themselves. It's a lot of different things for me that goes into that decision. And then are they willing to share with me how they feel about a situation or a circumstance and stand on that? Not tell me something because they think that that's what I want to hear. Challenge me in a way, but be supportive. And then respect. Like, it's funny because you watch certain things and you hear people with certain quotes, and it's like, a man wants respect and a woman wants this, and it's like, bro, people want respect. A woman wants to be respected too.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Just like a man wants to be respected, just like a man wants to be loved. Like, a woman is not the only person who wants to be loved. Respect for me doesn't equate love. Respect for me is respect. Love is love. You feel me? Like, I need mine. I need both. Just like I'm sure the same thing is for you. Like, you want a guy that's going to talk to you the right way, treat you right, bring it to you the way that it needs to be brought, and then love you the way that you desire to be loved. Right. These things are important. And I also, choose a person that's understanding. I think that's really important too. What you were about to say.
I was going to say, how important is it to be in a relationship for you?
It's not the end all be all. Because and this is important for me, man. I don't know if we talked about this. I feel like we spoke about this, but this is something that I've been talking about a lot lately, man. When we talk about relationships, you got to talk about the work. Not talk about relationships in love, relationships in sex, relationships in family or whatever. Relationships and work. Can you love this person on their off day? Can you love this person when you feel like they don't deserve to be loved? Can you forgive this person? Can you show grace? Can you show mercy? Can you do the things that's necessary for y'all to move forward? Can you apologize? When you make a mistake, can you say my bad and mean it? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that I think about, man. And again, even in your situation, like, I salute that because you're making a conscious decision that, hey, man, I'm not settling. I know what I want. I'm going to get what I want. And if I don't get what I want, I've come to a place where me and God just going to take this thing home. Right. And I really do wish people could understand the importance of that.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, how important is it to be with a person of purpose and destiny? Like, how important is that something that you even consider when choosing a mate?
That's a good question because I know that that's something that you're very passionate about. Absolutely. I do think that purpose is important, but for me, it's not a end all be all. For me, but purpose is important, and maybe I wouldn't use the word purpose. Maybe I would use the word driven or motivated or, somebody who, wants to give to life in a way, add value. You know what I mean? So I think that that's something that I would hope that people would desire and want to have in their relationship.
I guess I say that because I want to ask, what is the purpose of a relationship to you? Because to me, God brings two people together to do something much larger than two of them.
For
it's
sure.
Kingdom minded,
For sure.
right? It's about the kingdom, the romantic aspects of it, and everything that we focus on. That's like a bonus add, but it's for two people to come together to do something for the kingdom.
I agree.
So, in your opinion, what is the purpose of a relationship?
For me, the purpose of a relationship is love. Genuine, unconditional love.
But you can get
God's
love
love.
from anybody, right?
God's love.
There's a lot of people out here who love you.
They love me?
Yeah.
Now, listen. Maybe not.
It is. It's got to be more than love. Because the reason I say that is because sometimes that's not enough to sustain a relationship.
I'm not saying that it's enough, but it's an amazing foundation.
Absolutely.
So
For sure.
from that standpoint, like I'm just a believer in the purpose behind love. You know what I mean? And you know, we talk about, you know, companionship. We talk about you know, trust and honor and loyalty and respect and all of those different things. Like I'm just big on for the purpose of love versus like we're here to do this thing. But if somebody looks at relationships in that way, it's not wrong.
No,
It
it's not wrong.
it really isn't.
It's
Because
not.
some people are like, yo, this is like you just mentioned, like we are destined to do amazing things together.
Absolutely.
And we can love one another by doing those things.
What do you think sustains a relationship, though? Because love isn't enough. So what do you think?
Grace.
Grace, okay. If it's built on that foundation. Yes, for sure. But like practically, like when you're not getting along, because everybody gonna go through issues. Let's just be clear. I'm not saying that you're not gonna have issues in your relationship. So what do you think when you have whatever it is you guys may be experiencing? What is it that's going to sustain?
That's why I said grace, because when you look at really putting someone first, right, under God, and even if you don't believe in God, but if you put your partner first, right, in my belief,
Yes.
the way that it's supposed to be, and we're talking about serving, right, then you can show up for a person when you don't feel like it. You can be patient. You can be understanding. You know, you can show or share your weaknesses. You know, you can let a person know that you don't have it today. You know, all of these different things that require you to be beyond vulnerable and transparent and open with your person, because you owe them that. You tell them you love them, you absolutely owe them that. And that's why grace is so beautiful, because it's like, even if we feel they don't deserve it, you still do it anyway.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's something that I feel can help save so many relationships and can help people recover so much faster if they understand that they have a person that really loves them in that manner.
I just think that sometimes a person can really love you and you can know that, but it's just not, after a while, it's just not sustainable. If you don't have, how important is it to have common goals and certain things that you guys share in terms of purpose and commonalities and likenesses and things of that nature?
I think it's important, but it's not end all be all, because I know that people, you know, they always say opposites attract, you know, and sometimes people can think differently, believe differently, and all of these things, but in their situation, their respective relationships, it works out. You know, I want to encourage people that if there is no, you know, set blueprint or some type of rule that comes with relationships, but you have to figure out your blueprint and what works for you and your person. And that's very important. And that's why the foundation is important. That's why knowing yourself and who you are is important, and what you bring to the table. Absolutely. You know, because we've seen different people come together. We've seen introverts that can fall in love. We've seen extroverts that can fall in love. We've seen ambiverts that can fall in love. We've seen an introvert and an extrovert, and the list goes on. Like different personality, all these different things. You know what I mean? But if it works for you, then it works for you. But make sure that you're basing your relationship off of whatever your principles, morals, and values are, and how that gets you to the point of success.
All right. So before we close out the show, talk about your new book.
Man, what I wish I knew. Been a long time coming, but you know, I'm super blessed. Basically, this book is it gives about my journey. It talks about a lot of my struggles early on, and giving people ways that you can overcome and how you can heal and the steps that it takes, you know, and really being open. But the main focus is to create the conversation.
Right.
Because the conversation isn't happening,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I study a lot of people and I see a lot of things, and I want to salute everybody that's being open and honest about their past and all of these different things.
Mm-hmm.
But even those that are in those spaces and places, they still do it with a level of protection.
Mm-hmm.
When I wrote that book, I removed the cape, I took off the mask, I let it be what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think that that's way more important. I wrote that book because I wanted that book to serve and help people.
Where can people find your book?
Relationshipsmatterlive.com. You can find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So we on deck, you know what I'm saying? And I know you got your book too, and we supposed to be trying to figure out this book club situation. You know what I mean? So we can get that on out there, man. But y'all make sure y'all support Chanel's book as well, Relationships Matter. I got mine, What I Wish I Knew. You know what I mean? And here we are on RM, making it do what it do. So.
Yep. All right. That's our show. Until next time, see you soon.
Relationships matter. I need you.